Good morning everyone, A7R VI or A7V, which one to get? There is a $1,500 to $2,000 difference between those two camera models, and the performances and how it feels shooting with it is also very different. I want to share with you exactly my experience on the field. I got to heavily test them side by side, compare at high ISO, compare the rolling shutter, compare the performance, the colors. The colors is the big one, out of white balance. Well, let's dig right into it because one of those cameras may be absolutely the wrong choice for you. So let's avoid that and let's get right into it. All right. Well, I wanted to record this outside, but it's pouring rain here in Tokyo. So the A7R VI came out recently. It's an amazing camera. It has a 66.8 megapixel sensor. The A7V is at 33 megapixel. Both new sensors, both new architecture for processing. They make them extremely fast, reliable, and with better dynamic range. But there are still few differences that, besides the megapixel counts, kind of surprise me. So I think we're gonna start with the performance, then talk about the differences in ergonomics, and then wrap it up, talk about the budget, because there is such a drastic difference that you have to consider it too. So performance-wise, the three things that I'm gonna really wanna highlight here is ISO, high ISO, rolling shutter, and also colors. Colors is a really big one. Let's start with colors. Look at this side by side of those two same photos that were taken in the same place with the A7R VI and the A7V, and notice how one looks warmer than the other one and the colors are slightly different. The A7R VI, if you haven't seen my in-depth review, watch it, has basically infrared and visible sensor light, and this added with the new computing and algorithm that they added makes the colors, especially in woodlands, in parks, in like very green area or like complex light situation with the subject and let's say a lot of elements, shades, all that, a lot less cool than they were before. And at first I thought it was just specs on paper, but when I experienced it on the field, look at these photos. And to be completely honest, those two images are taken with the standard profile, but with +2 contrast for both cameras, as you can see. So it's exactly the same images. Now those photos, those two, are a little bit different in terms of exposure compensation, meaning the A7R VI has a -0.3 EV, but I actually updated that compensation with the Sony software to be exactly the same for both. So what you're looking at is exactly the same. So it's comparing side by side the exact same exposure. I'm just letting you know. So to be completely transparent, and one was shot with f2.8 and one at f1.8, but that is not the most important. Actually, it's f2. That is not the most important. What you want to be paying attention to is the auto white balance, and that is basically the most important. So here on the A7V on the left, I mean, you can tell the tones are a little bit cooler on the left. And just all the cameras here, we have A7 III, A7R III, A1, A7V, A7R V, and A7R VI and A7R VI. And you can really tell things are changing as we're moving. I mean, clearly here there's less consistency between those two cameras, very blue. Then here the tones, the greens are just not the same between the A1, the A7V, and the A7R VI. I really like the greens we're getting on those A7V and A7R VI photos. So just so you know, I don't think the A7R VI is drastically better than the A7V in colors and auto white balance, but in my experience on the field, it was slightly more consistent across different images, to be reconfirmed afterwards. Let me know which one you actually prefer. Do you prefer the A7V look or do you prefer the A7R VI? This may be a big decision for you. Now, let's be honest, you can absolutely retouch your image and warm it up after and get to the same result. But if you can get it right in camera, wouldn't that be easier and faster to do so? Well, it's going to be up to you to answer with your budget too and the other drawbacks of this camera over this one. By the way, if you don't know me, my name is Pierre T. Lambert. Welcome. I love to shoot cameras in all kinds of conditions, and I'm also the creator of the 30-day Adventure to Great Photo, a step-by-step program to taking your photography to the next level, taking photos you're proud of, no matter what kind of gear you're using. So please join the next session. Instead of buying thousands of dollars worth of gear, invest in your skills, and then maybe spend on your camera, but you'll see it's going to make such a bigger difference in your experience. And here on this channel, well, I share photography adventures and tutorials. So please subscribe. And let's continue on these two cameras that I wish we could have talked about in the rain outside. The other drawback or difference is going to be on the high ISO. And that one was also kind of drastic, but not for the A7R VI Advantage, but for the A7V. Look at these taken at 12,800, then 32,100, and then going up and up. I can really tell the difference between the R6 and the A7V. I find that the R6 loses, let's say, colors and definition and gets noisier and mushier way faster than the A7V. Now, the A7V isn't perfect, but honestly, at 32,000, at 25,000, at 12,800, I'm really happy with it. And I was surprised to see the files of the A7R VI actually kind of like crumble a little faster. So, how should that inform your decision? Well, if you absolutely need to shoot in low light in those conditions, well, definitely go for a A7V. But also don't forget that you have in both cameras a mode to take several raw images in order to create noise reduction, if that is very important. But if you're running gunning and you're just in low light situations all the time, A7V may be a little better idea for you. And historically, it's kind of been true. The higher megapixel cameras have a lower high ISO image quality. And the range is also different. You know, you're locked, the native ISO stops at 3200, but it continues up to 51,200 on the A7V. So keep that in mind, and let's move on to the next big difference I noticed was in rolling shutter. And it's actually, sorry, let me take that out. It's not a difference. I had such a hard time, and this is why we love that R6 right now, because the processing and what's been updated makes it a really fast readout speed for that amount of megapixels. And honestly, it felt pretty impressive to see that there was not more rolling shutter in my experience than on the A7V. I looked at it side by side, I tried it again, and here are some photos side by side, here's some video. You can analyze it, you can pause, you can tweak it, you can peek into it. But personally, I wouldn't be able to be saying I want this one over this one because of rolling shutter, because of readout speed. So that's a great thing to know and consider, and it actually puts both on the same playing field, which wasn't the case with the A7R V, for example. But now with the A7R VI, it's something you don't have to consider when you're comparing both anymore. Interesting, right? 2026 is surprising. But then in terms of preference, you may be asking about autofocus. I couldn't really tell a huge difference. Yes, the R6 sticks a little better when there's obstacles in front of your subject, but the A7V does an excellent job also. There is slight differences maybe where the A7R VI, for example, when the head turns, locks in a little bit better, you know, and it keeps tracking the head a little more when it's fully back and completely backward. But both do a great job, honestly, and if you miss your focus with any of these cameras, in my opinion, it's not a camera problem, it's more the method that you're using and the circumstances that you're using for those shots you're taking. And I will say though, the A7R VI, I didn't notice, you see even the A7V can pick up when it's back of the head. With the A7R VI and the 100-400, you see I could pick up the faces of people even when they were tiny in the distance, even in reflection, completely backlit. Also, it worked really well. As you can see, it's even really locking in on the faces. But I will tell you, to me, that's not something that is so drastic that you have to choose one over the other. While we're talking about speed and readout, both cameras now have 30 frames per second in burst with pre-capture. So that's not even something I would say go for this one over this one. So we're on the same playing field for the burst mode on both cameras and having pre-capture. So that's pretty cool. At this point where we are with technology, they're both great. That's all I would say. So those are kind of like the different points I would be comparing in terms of performance. In terms of image quality and image resolution, I mean, it's clear. There's 66.8 megapixel, there's 33 megapixel. So yes, you can crop in massively in this one. You can't as much in this one. A cropped, meaning APS-C photo on the A7R VI is still a 28 megapixel file, which is almost like a A7V files. So which one? It depends on how much you need to crop, right? But there is also another aspect, and I have my little notes here, that will probably make you go for one over the other, and that's ergonomics. Ergonomics have changed a little bit. The viewfinder experience, let's start with that one, is incredible on the A7R VI. It is bigger, it is brighter, it's high definition inside, it's high quality, you have the HDR viewfinder. When you look into it, you're really able to tell if your images are overexposed, underexposed, like how much you can recover in highlights, and wow, beautiful experience. It's like having the best of the best. Now, the A7V isn't bad, I never complained before, but it's true, once you start seeing the other one, you're like, okay, yeah, it is a lot better, and it is also a lot bigger. So if you don't have it side by side, you probably won't tell the difference. The A7V is good, but if you have them side by side, I'm telling you, you will notice. Should you consider that a drawback? If you are a viewfinder only shooter, maybe that A7R VI is going to be a really beautiful tool to use and to abuse in a way with the viewfinder, but I wouldn't be limited with the A7V. In terms of ergonomics and physical stuff on the body, well, we're gonna have another difference, which is in terms of memory card. So the A7R VI allows for 2 CF Type A and 2 SD card versus the A7V only 1 CF Type A and 2 SD cards. So you only have one slot that takes CF Type A, the other one has both slots taking CF Type A. Is this a problem? Not necessarily. I shoot a lot with one CF Type A and SD card, so that doesn't bother me for the A7V personally. In terms of connectivity, we almost have the same, besides that there's a flash sync plug here on the A7R V that we don't have for the A7V. And the flip screens are basically the same. You can flip in all directions. That is great. But the biggest thing I haven't mentioned yet is that we now have 2 different batteries. On the field, what does it mean for you? Well, it means 2 things. I do not think you're gonna see a big improvement in how many shots you can take with one over the other. It just happens, in my opinion, from what I'm understanding, is that the A7R VI is gonna consume a lot more power, or a little more power. And with that, having a higher capacity battery will be helpful. Now, so if you have a big ecosystem with all those NPFZ100 batteries that are in the A7V, well, that's going to be an advantage to stick with that one because you don't have to replace your batteries. But here you're going to have to consider the cost of adding a few batteries, which can add a few extra $100, right? I will say, I don't think the battery change would be anything to consider between one camera over the other. I wouldn't worry about it unless you knew you needed 5 batteries and you already had your previous one and you don't want to change that. Now, in terms of ergonomics, there are a few little changes like protruding auto mode here that you can feel with your finger, the button to eliminate the back buttons actually right here on the A7R VI. Can be extremely helpful, not present on the A7V. It's helpful only if you're shooting at night and you have ever been in a situation where you're like, I cannot see my buttons, I really wish I could. Maybe that would be a choice for you. The tally lamp that's at the front on the R6 and not on the A7V, honestly not a no-brainer in my opinion. And that little marking on the orange ring to know where to place your lamp is a nice addition on the R6, but it's not something that would make me pay $1,500 or $2,000 more for this camera over that one. So to recap, if you're tight on a budget, you don't have good lenses, get an A7V and then use that $1,500 to $2,000 to get lenses, to go on a trip, to take a photography workshop, to really push your photography and improve your skills before buying a more expensive cameras, because that will have much more impact on your photos than getting a different camera. There's a link in the description if you want to join the next 30-day to great photos course that is probably starting very soon. Budget is out of the question. Now choose the A7R VI if you need a great viewfinder, 66 megapixel to crop in massively, great colors and auto white balance adjustments, especially if you're shooting a lot in woodlands and you're doing nature and you need those to be as accurate as possible and as fast in your workflow as possible so you don't have to retouch too much. Go for the A7R VI. If you want versatility, speed, still great autofocus, better high ISO quality for your images, meaning better low light experience, then go for the A7V. So this is exactly what I would say if you were sitting together as friends. And remember, happiness comes from being at peace with the choices we make. So choose well, forget about your choice and enjoy your camera. Go out there, go shoot, try something different, try something new. I'll see you in the next one. Watch this video to nail sharp photos. Watch this one to make sure you use the right settings on Sony, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.